when he handed the phone, he's like, "Help us." I'm like, well, then why are you holding her on the bed? Why were you grabbing her from trying to get to the phone?
Because she keeps running away. These ghosts are super slow. They're slow motion guys. They're like, this is as fast as we can walk.
Yeah,
what the hell, girl? You keep running away.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Screen Riots. We're here taking a look at John's movie this week, which was Last Night in Soho, which I believe was a mystery you had to pick for, right?
Yep, good old mystery.
Yep. So Last Night in Soho, what'd you think, John?
You know, I really liked it. I have a couple issues with it, but overall, I really liked it. I really liked the cinematography. I liked the production design, and I can't find any faults in the acting whatsoever. I think that Thomas and Mackenzie did yeah, you just hush over there, Eddie. I see you. I think Thomas and Mackenzie was amazing. I think Anya Taylor-Joy was amazing. What's his face? Who played Smith? John? Matt Smith. I could have done without him. I think somebody else could have played him.
I didn't like their acting. There was very few people in the movie that I actually liked their acting. I liked the old woman. And I liked Lindsay, the old version of Lindsay, the guy who was like the snotty, could be Jack, could be the killer, ended up being a cop. I actually like
where you're going, girl.
Yeah, I actually like that guy. But everybody
You're talking about
else,
Terrence Stamp, right?
Yes,
yeah.
But everybody else, I didn't really like. The acting to me
I
was.
Oh, I really like John
TV
too.
Movie.
John, the boyfriend, the love interest. I really liked him.
You know what sucks is I wanted to like him, but here was his big acting move.
Yeah, his smile was a little cheesy.
Oh, do you like me now? It was like, what the fuck? Like, where
I could see.
I guess what I really want to say is like I like the character, like.
Well, yeah.
And I think he did a good job at it. So
let me say that, in kind of in line with what John just said, I do like a lot of the plot. Like, I do like the idea of the plot. I think that altogether they had a good idea. I just don't know if the execution was 100% successful.
Well, I mean, if you look at Thomas and Mackenzie's performance, she had to go from this sweet, demure, sheltered country girl to she completely changed characters throughout the film. Her arc is huge.
So she went from a sweet, demure country girl, sheltered country girl, to a sweet, demure, tortured city girl.
No, she wasn't sweet or demure. She was tortured, but she wasn't sweet anymore. She was bitchy to everybody. She was I mean, to the point of attacking people who she thought were faceless ghost men. So I mean, she had a big range that she had to cover, and I think she did it extremely well.
See, I think of the attacking thing because, I mean, to me, she wasn't attacking the people around her. She was attacking the ghosts that she thought were attacking her. Yeah. So she was in like defense mode.
That's what I said. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I just don't know. I don't know if I would count that as range just because she decided to defend herself. But it's fine.
But it is, because, I mean, you have to act like it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you go from, this happy-go-lucky person who thinks the 60s are amazing to realizing that the 60s weren't really amazing and they were kind of shitty. On the other side.
Yeah, the way they decided to showcase that, when I was watching that, I was like, "Woof, Kyle's gonna be unhappy."
For a female back in the 60s, that sucked.
I really liked how the story did that. I mean, it takes because we all have. I mean, I know I have thought, and I know Kyle and I have had this conversation about possibly being born in the wrong decade. Right? It's like, man, I should have really been born in the 60s or the 70s or the even the 50s or 40s.
The teens,
right? Yeah, the teens, exactly. The teens. I mean, I was born in the teens, but we won't
early 1900s.
But back in my day, movies were the talkies. But no, I really
always went to that moving picture show,
the Nickelodeon. But no, I really liked how they took the blinders off of that era. The 60s itself, and went not as happy-go-lucky as the music and the memorabilia says it is. And this is the seedy underbelly of what isn't remembered and what hasn't been collected over the years.
Yeah, and that was the first twist that I liked, was them taking the love story, the supposed love story between Sandy and Jack, and then you find out actually, you know, she's his pimp, or he's her pimp, excuse me, and she's being like basically given out to, you know, 100 guys. There were flaws with that though, and it was towards the end of the movie that I saw a bunch of the flaws. And John, you and I kind of briefly talked about this. There's some big issues I have with the whole ghost. Like who's a ghost bothers me. I can't figure out the way this story came about, because if Sandy was trying to influence Ellie and Sandy was a ghost and she was trying to paint this like perfect picture of Ellie because she wanted to take over her body and come back to life or something like we've seen in like the Skeleton Key, etc., then I understand the way the story went to for the most part.
I see what you're saying now.
Right. But what I don't get is that we get this certain picture of Sandy, and then even when we see Jack killing Sandy in bed that night that Ellie and John are almost about to have sex, and then she starts to see the murder scene take place, and we see Jack stab Sandy and cut her throat and all that kind of stuff. What I don't get is, A, why did the story take that track to tell us that in that way, especially if Jack and the 100 guys are actually trying to get revenge on Sandy? And then B, Sandy's not dead. So how the fuck is she showing up with all of these ghostly figures?
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because
I'm very confused by that.
Because Ellie is seeing past events that have already happened, yet this one instance that you're talking about never happened.
Never took place. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't
Well,
think
it's
about
weird.
that.
It's weird because the ghost, I mean, if the ghosts want, which is what we appear to want, like once the fire starts and Ellie is in the room and the 100 ghosts are grabbing her and they're like pulling at her and stuff, and she ends up on the bed, and then the ghost comes over and goes, "Phone home," or whatever the hell he says.
Right.
It appears the ghosts want help.
Right.
So why didn't they appear to her the whole time wanting help, and maybe even show, you know, having Jack show Sandy being the righteous bitch that she was or whatever? But instead what we have is this, like, it very much makes Sandy the victim. I mean, up until, including, I should say, this murder scene of Sandy that never took place. It's very, very strange. That's the biggest plot hole for me in the whole movie. Other than that, I don't mind it, but that,
I don't know. I mean, you've had dreams before, and you don't really remember like everything to a T.
True.
I mean, you have like random pictures that kind of, you know, flash in front of your eyes or whatever, and there's blank spots in that.
Yes.
So I'm thinking what happened was she was seeing what happened, but in her mind, she already thought that Sandy was dead. So she kind of just played it out in her head that this is what was happening. Not necessarily. She's just kind of like, oh, I don't really want to see Sandy dying or whatever, but you know, this is what I see, instead of the opposite of what actually happened, you know, or what really happened.
I hear you, but she doesn't get that option in any other way. Like the coordination between Lindsay and Sandy, or not coordination, the conversation that takes place between Lindsay and Sandy inside the bar, all those different guys, and she's like, "I'm Alex, I'm Alexa, I'm all those different names." She doesn't get to pick and choose those scenes; they just take place. So why does she?
Yeah, she's an observer. Yeah,
it's really that scene just is strange. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. I think it might be her subconscious. Yeah, she's seeing this, and but her subconscious is swayed towards not liking Jack and seeing Jack as the bad guy,
right?
Which rightfully so. But then when she accidentally kills Lindsay, when he gets run over and she realizes, okay, this guy isn't Jack, that kind of changes her viewpoint a little bit subconsciously, and she's open to other ideas other than it's just Jack being this awful guy. Maybe that's it.
I don't know.
I actually enjoyed how they did it. They did it to where it looked like Ellie was kind of an introvert coming into London.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's having dreams of becoming like more outgoing or more extroverted or something like that. So they hide the whole plot of Sandy being a real person. You don't really realize that Sandy is a real person
till about an hour into the movie.
No, probably about, I don't know, hour and a half into the movie. Well, there's like 30 minutes left. You're like, oh, well, Sandy was real? Okay, well, this is interesting.
I don't know. I feel like an hour and a half we were already at the library looking for who murdered her.
That's when she realized that she she was murdered, so she has to figure out who the murderer was.
I don't know.
My first clue that the events were real were she came out of the dance hall and turned around and saw the capstone over the arch.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, now I'm seeing things in real life that I'm seeing in my dream. So that's kind of like, okay, well, these events are possibly real. But one thing I really did like too, whenever the two girls were dancing with Jack and they were using the natural transitions to switch between the two, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so did I.
But as the story progresses, Ellie starts out her dreams farther and farther away from Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like as they become two different people, like they're going on two different tracks, and so she's actually going, okay, I need to help this girl, but I can't get to her because that distance keeps going farther and farther away. I thought that was expertly done.
No, I thought that was done well too. The biggest issue that I have with it is the strangest part about that, I should say, is that in those dreams, everybody, as far as we know anyway, the main characters of who we're constantly introduced to are basically dead people. And then you have Sandy, who the weird part about it to me is how are those dreams coming to be? What's happening? And then why are those dreams starting to show up during the day? You know what I mean? That's where I'm saying the plot hole for me exists. Is I don't understand that. And then at the very end, once Sandy finally dies in the fire, then she decides to come back and haunt Ellie in that last mirror shot. And I'm like,
no, I don't think she's come back to haunt her.
Well, why would she show back up, you think?
Ellie, anyways, looks kind of excited to see her again.
Yeah, which is strange.
Because I think she's seeing Sandy like almost like a victim, but almost like a hey, I survived type thing.
Okay, so I want to ask
the young Sandy survived, but the old Sandy that tried to kill me, that's that person's dead, but the young Sandy that didn't try to kill me is still alive, and this is the person I cared for. So, yay me.
That's interesting. Let me ask you this. So I got to ask, how do you guys take Sandy in this movie? Like, is she the victim or is she the killer of 100 people?
Well, I'll go ahead and go. Like, once the twist is revealed that she was basically the serial killer, I was like, this isn't a good chick. I mean, she is being kind of pimped out, under her not her volition. So that is terrible. So, but I mean, I don't know where I fall on it, to be honest.
Yeah, John, what do you think?
Well, I'm leaning towards the same thing that Justin said. I think that it's hard for me to say, being a male, and hindsight is always 20/20. But one would think that you could have gotten out somehow, especially knowing that there's a police officer out there investigating this kind of stuff.
Lindsay,
then Lindsay's out there trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm sorry, but I don't buy the hiding spot in the walls and in the floorboards and all that, because it just doesn't. There's other people at the time. Assuming there's other people at the time living in that house, the smell would have alerted them to an issue.
You won't have to worry about it until the summer, but then you'll have to keep the plugs in because all the smells rise up.
But why would those smells come up, though, after 40 years? That doesn't make sense.
Maybe she's still a killing.
Maybe
that's a hard habit to break. What do you think, Kyle?
I mean, I honestly think that she started out to be a victim, but then she kind of had that opportunity to become have her own justice. Like, she was taking justice in her own hands, because in that time, you're going, oh, well, I'm being pimped out by this guy. It'd be like, oh, you crazy girl, you're now locked up into an insane asylum. So she was trying to play the game and become famous and like a singer and all that kind of stuff, while making extra cash, sure, but at the same time taking revenge on all these people that took advantage of her. So I think it's like good for her if she can get away with it, like whatever.
Well, let me say this part too. It kind of reminds me of like the Eileen Wuornos story. Remember that movie Monster, where Charlize Theron gets like really uglied up and becomes Eileen Wuornos? She was a prostitute who started killing men off the highway because she hated, being pimped out. Basically, it really reminded me of that. So I almost wonder if like Sandy, kind of had like a break. You know what I mean? Like a psychotic break.
Pimped herself out.
Well, she did. No, she did that too, but she was originally pimped out by somebody else. But yeah, same idea. It doesn't really matter. I'm just saying, I don't know. I kind of questioned. I mean, obviously it's horrible what's happening with her with being a hooker, but at the same time, does that justify killing 100 men? I don't know. I just questioned it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of weird in that way.
I don't know. But I mean, I do agree that back in the day, Kyle's right. Back in the 60s, women weren't believed.
You had no power back then.
Oh no, she was definitely.
It was just like, well, either shut up and take it and try to just move past it, or get thrown into an insane asylum.
Yeah, I'm not even disagreeing with you on it. I was just wondering, as far as the movie went, what you guys thought, because I don't know. I mean,
I did like the twist at the end. I didn't actually see Sandy being, because I thought she was dead too. Like I thought the actual character Sandy was dead, and when I think it was Lindsay, when he was walking out before he got hit, and he's like,
"You think I killed Sandy?" Huh. I think you'll find Alex killed Sandy.
Come back.
Nah, I've had enough of this line of questioning.
Which is true. Because I think it was, Sandy was a wholesome girl trying to get into the business, but then she turned, vigilante. And then I think her, obviously her real name is Alexandria Collins. When she finally started killing these people, Alexandria killed Sandy. Sandy is no more. Right. So when he said, "Oh yeah, tell Alex," or ask Alex or whatever, and I'm like, okay, who the hell's Alex now? But then when when they started looking at the mail, and I saw Alexandria Collins, I was like, oh my god, it's Alex. This chick is Sandy.
When she was struggling to get up the stairs, I was like, she's gonna die from the fucking poison before this lady can stab her. I mean, this old lady.
I'm like, she's been poisoned.
Minutes.
Yeah, it did.
It's definitely not fast acting,
She's breathing in smoke. I mean, she's getting thrown down the stairs. What the hell?
Well, that's where the movie went real time. Is once she gets fed the poison, the movie goes into real time. It's a real time narrative. It's suddenly 15 minutes for all that shit to take place in the movie, and it takes 15 minutes in real life to get through that part of the movie.
And all that blood that what's his name, John was bleeding out.
Oh yeah.
How is he not dead?
I don't know. He got stabbed pretty good.
That was like all the blood. Like, boop, here we go.
It was all. How much did you bleed? All the blood.
All the blood.
Well, you see him later, and do the smash cut to fast forward in the future, and he's fine. He's just like walking around. Like we don't know how long. We don't know how long that time.
I think that's quite a while, because I don't think Eloise is back as a brunette.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eddie. One thing, like you mentioned, them handing ET phone home scene. when that happened, I'm with you. Like that was a plot point for me. When he handed the phone, he's like, "Help us." I'm like, well, then why are you holding her on the bed? Why were you grabbing her from trying to get to the phone?
Because she keeps running away. These ghosts are super slow. They're slow motion guys. They're like, this is as fast as we can walk.
Yeah,
what the hell, girl? You keep running away.
But they're unencumbered because they're all in just their underwear. They should be able to run around easily.
No, some of them don't even have underwear, Justin. Some of them are full frontal, by the way. Yeah, there were a few. Exactly. Not that I paused and looked, but yeah.
I didn't see that.
The other there were multiple.
Some of the ones during the day that weren't in her room, they were in suits.
Yeah,
they were fully clothed.
Yeah, but once they go to their nighttime wear. Yeah, their nighttime look.
I think it's
their pants on, pants off.
They're basically in the clothes that they died in at the room, but yet when they're out, they're still civilized ghosts.
So here's my problem though.
A gentleman ghost doesn't appear in public in his underwear.
Of course, John. Of course.
It's British, so his pants.
Yes, pants, trousers.
Kyle,
pants or underwear.
Pantaloons.
To touch on what Justin was just saying, my other problem with that same exact topic, Justin, with the grabbing of the girl, etc., is that Jack, who apparently is like the ringleader of trying to get help from everybody, can't do anything with Ellie except yell at her. He can talk directly to her, though. He's like one of the only ones that talks directly to her in the movie and runs into her in public and shit. and doesn't say, hey, by the way, Sandy's evil. Like, he doesn't do anything like that, but he's apparently aware enough to be able to do things. It's very the ghosts.
Well,
I'm telling you, I don't like the ghosts.
I don't think that was him. It's all in her head. Like she's imagining Jack as a bad person.
There's no way all of that's in her head. Hold on. You're telling me I have to watch the movie and go by what the movie shows us, and you're deciding when things are real and when they're not, based on when you decide that makes sense.
It's all in her head. There was none of that
because nobody else sees Jack.
Because he's a
ghost.
Hold on, Sandy saw
he's
Jack.
in her head.
No, Sandy saw Jack in the bedroom whenever the fire was going. Old Sandy.
Oh, that's right. She did see him.
That's old Sandy.
The fucking matters?
Well, that would make sense. She's in the dreams. It's the same person. No, I get you, Kyle. I got you.
Sandy's not even fucking dead, and she's a ghost, so whatever.
Sandy is dead. That Alexandria Collins is still alive.
Oh my god!
You know what? Touche.
Well,
Kyle.
There's your half a point back.
He proved nothing. Don't worry, I'll deduct 2 points to fucking even that out.
I'm gonna say this: was anybody else worried about the French restaurant next door out there in the fire? I was very worried that place was gonna go up in flames.
It's like the smell of garlic.
All that French food gone to waste.
All those snails, those poor snails, John.
Got 2 people being taken out on stretchers, and John's worried about the baguettes.
They can't escape, John. The snails. You got to think of the snails.
What about
they can't move very fast? They're like the ghosts in this movie. They're just
him and Wes Anderson are holding vigil at the restaurant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you ready to score it?
Yeah, you ready to go with this, John? What are you giving Last Night in Soho?
I am going to give this movie a 7.5.
Nice.
Why are you laughing?
Keep laughing, Eddie. You haven't heard my score yet.
No, you guys are good. Go ahead. It's just funny because this is the Riot, right? On my screen, John and Kyle are on this side, and me and Justin are on this side. And the whole time, I'm just watching you guys like, you guys are hilarious. Go ahead. Sorry, Justin, it's your time to score. My fault.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna give this a 7.
A 7? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Eddie.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is my turn, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
3.5 because of the plot holes.
That's better than I thought.
Way too freaking low.
No, it's just the plot hole.
8.5 for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's an 8.5. I loved everything about it. I don't think there was any plot holes.
So what that does mean, though, is that Last Night in Soho gets an average score of 6.6. So if you're a Patreon member, you got to see us spin to see what we're going to be watching next week. And that actually landed on Eddie, and he has to pick a romance. So, Eddie, what are you picking?
I'm going with True Romance from 1993, I believe it is.
So join us next Saturday. We're going to be reviewing True Romance from 1993, and see you then. Bye.
See ya.